We're live. Scott, you ready? All right. Good evening. To call to order the Finance Committee for April 27th, 2021, 5:30 p.m. First item on the agenda, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
And if I may, quick.
Yes, if you would.
Yeah, so at Finance Committee, because we only have 3 members, we actually don't need seconds for anything. We just need the main motion.
Yep. We have a motion on the floor to adopt, to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none. The approval of the minutes for the April 13th, 2021 Finance Committee meeting is approved.
So we have to take a vote still.
Still take a vote?
Yes.
Okay.
So just all those in favor.
Yes, thank you. You will excuse me. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Nope. Unanimous. Once again, we have unanimous approval for the April 13th, 2021 Finance Committee meeting minutes. Next item, item 3, public appearances, non-agenda items. Nope. Anybody?
So we do have one person registered to speak, but it's on an agenda item. I'm not aware of anybody that is for a non-agenda item.
Okay. Since that's the case, we will move on to item 4, the Finance Director Report, Treasurer's Report as of January 31st, 2021.
Yeah, so let's start with that treasurer's report. So you should be getting these monthly for those of you that are new to the committee. We always get behind this time of year as we're focusing on closing out the old year, getting through audit, and all of that stuff. So I recognize that January approval at an April meeting is pretty late, but we'll work to get caught up on those over the next couple of meetings. That's in there now. The big difference in the treasurer's report as of that date is at that point we had collected a lot of property taxes and hadn't settled out with all the overlying jurisdictions yet, which happens in February. So we had a pretty significant cash balance as of the date of this report, but that was expected. So also included in that report is the balance sheet for the general fund, and then the revenue and expenditure statement, which is basically government's version of an income statement or a P&L. So that's available in there too. And then your role as the committee, since this is kind of our first meeting all together, would be to look at the report, see if there's any significant changes, if you have any questions, and then on the income and expense in particular, make sure you're looking to see if the amounts are kind of what you expected them to be, and then also really look at budget versus actual. So I have to do that as my role, obviously, the main person responsible, but you guys are kind of that oversight, making sure that things are in line and asking questions as needed. So that's the treasurer's report. We don't have to take a vote on that. Other things going on in the finance department, a biggest thing right now is CIP. So we had, that's the capital improvement plan. It's the 10-year plan for the large capital projects that the city plans to do. At this point, we've gotten all of the requests from the departments, and I've compiled them into a first draft. And then last week, I think it was, we met with the mayor and kind of did a round robin to go through all those requests. And then later this week, we will meet with the mayor to talk about what the priorities are and how to make that document work. So we still have a lot of work to do in that CIP between now and when you guys will see it in June, but that is what's taking up the bulk of the finance of my time. And then the rest of the team is working on the traditional cycles. You saw last time that we had a bunch of bills and things coming through. They're all starting to catch up now too. That is it for my report.
Very good. I'd like to open it up for discussion. Any questions?
So Misty, after we see that in June, what is the process then for that moving forward?
Yeah, so in June, it's early June. Of course, don't remember the dates right now. So early June, the mayor's proposed CIP will be released to the public and to all of you. We will put it out on the website, and then I will send you guys an email letting you know that it's available. And then I'll include with it a form as well for amendments. So the mayor's proposal goes out. There's a special finance committee meeting. It's on a Monday night where all the department heads that have projects will come through. We'll come meet with you guys to share what their projects are and ask questions. So it's that information gathering stage. So that happens in June as well, I believe. And then amendments are due from all the council members. So that was the mayor's document, and then council gets to make their proposed changes to it. So you will fill out a form to tell me what your proposed change is, and then I compile all of those, and then at a subsequent meeting, we will go through each one of those amendments one by one, and council will vote yes, no, or amend it. And then at the end of that process, we will hopefully have a CIP that balances and goes to the next step. So it's a very long process.
Thank you. I had you go through all that just so the public knows that it's coming and, for them to have time for input and everything else like that. So thank
Absolutely, and
you.
we do have, that's a good point, we do have 2 public hearings on that too. So we have a public hearing at a council meeting on the mayor's document, and then we have a public hearing on the council amendments before you vote on all those final things too. So there's 2 opportunities for the public to come to a public meeting and share their opinions about priorities,
Thank you.
of course.
Gabrielle, go ahead.
Going back to the treasurer's report, I just wanted to point it out for people that are watching. The page I'm looking at right now is just the page 14 of the agenda packet, page 8 of the treasurer's report. And I'm just kind of looking at the report, and I appreciate that you always provide the previous year to date for comparison. And it's just looking at comparing to last year, we didn't hit the pandemic until, like full-fledged hitting pandemic effects until April of last year. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few months how it tracks compared to last year, if we're looking like we're back to normal,
Yeah.
or if we're still gonna be seeing those pandemic effects going forward. Do you have any sense of if things have changed? I know it's super early on, but I'm curious if you have any opinion on that.
Yeah, so some of the bigger areas that we were affected, so as far as COVID is concerned, the city was somewhat isolated from the financial effects because property taxes are very stable and they're due regardless of, it's not an income tax or a sales tax that were very drastically affected by COVID. Property taxes are not. But there are some things that were affected. So room tax was a big one, and that has not bounced back yet, which is not surprising. The other one would be senior center programs and recreation programs. And those are bouncing back slowly. So we have a very successful youth dance class that started this month, which was well received. And then we have an outdoor youth soccer program that's going really well. So it's not the full programs that we would have had in the past, but we are tiptoeing into that. So I suspect we will not fully rebound, but hopefully be much better than we were last year.
Awesome, thanks.
And Misty, I have one question, or maybe it's more of a clarification, and I'm not sure of the page. I think it's maybe 8 or 9 of the agenda, but this is under the City of Fitchburg General Fund, and it speaks to the 2021 amended budget. And then under total revenues, you speak to the B&G Fire Station number 1, and then the next line item is number 2. And then if I jump down, I see Marketplace, and then I see Uptown. Are these separated out for a reason, or I was always under the impression that maybe Marketplace was the same as 1, and then the other was same as 2, and I may have those numbers mixed up. I'm curious as to why there's different categories.
So I assume you're talking about the fire stations. So I haven't been able to find the page that you're referencing.
I think same page I was looking at, I think.
Oh, is it?
14 of the packet, 8 of the treasurer's report. I see the list there.
Do you?
Oh, perfect, yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So B&G is building and grounds. So that
Correct.
would be all the different buildings that we have. Fire Station 1 is the one on Lacey, so we're called their headquarters now.
Sure, right.
Fire Station 2, I actually should get rid of here because it's all zeros. That's the old Fire Station number 2 on King James Way that we sold a while back.
I see, okay.
And then Marketplace would be the current Fire Station 2 there. And I stopped using the numbers because it got mixed up when you had the various buildings that were there.
Okay.
And then Uptown would be the Fire Station 3.
So in reality, they are all individual separate entities. It's not one, and then suddenly you switch to a Marketplace. One, and then you switch to Marketplace. They're not they're all individual itemized lines on the revenue report.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep, we have a separate section within the account numbers to keep track of all of that.
Okay, all right. And 2 is the old fire station. That's why there's no balance. I guess that was another question of mine.
Exactly.
Well, then if we jump down to the interdepartmental other, $190,750 for the amended budget. I noticed under notes, there's 11 and 19, and the next page is the variance report. I'm guessing that those are the numbers. Am I correct?
Yep.
Okay, as far as the corresponding, I just do not see a number 19 under the variance notes. So I'm curious as to what the number 19,
Yeah,
maybe it just fell off.
it probably just fell off. If I can get back to you on that one, just because I'd have to
Sure.
pull it up.
No need to this evening, but I'm
Yep.
curious if you get back to me.
Absolutely. And for those of you that are new to the committee, so whenever there are questions that I don't know right away, I will accumulate those during the meeting, and then I'll send an email out to the group letting you know what all those answers are. So even though it was Randy's question, I'll send it to all of you so you have it.
Okay, is there any other questions for discussion? Okay. Here's one we do not need to vote on, correct?
Correct. Yep, this is just
Sure,
a FYI.
report. All right, moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, review of bills. 5A, detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above, April 1st through the 15th, 2021, totaling $328,827.21.
And if I may interrupt you again, just to kind of talk about why we do this for
Yes.
those of you that are new. So the review of bills section is another thing that does not need a vote. This is there for your information. There's two pieces of it. These are actually both for the same time frame. So even though it was Randy's question, I'll send it to all of you so you have it. So the detailed review of all checks would be all of the checks that we cut. And then A would be just the ones that are $10,000 or more, basically just to pull those out so that they're easier for you guys to find. But it's the same grouping. So you'll see everything that's on 5A will also be in 5B. And then why you're looking at these are twofold. So first is transparency. We want everybody to know where the money is going that the city is spending, because it is taxpayer money for the most part. And then 2 is really fraud prevention. So yes, we have a lot of internal controls in the finance department and other departments across the city, but an important piece in that whole system is you guys looking at these bills as well and making sure that they're in line with what you know about the city. Ask questions to make sure that it is documented appropriately, that you know what they are, that it is legit. One of the somewhat common fraud mechanisms would be for somebody to make a fraudulent transaction, code it as something that didn't actually happen for a project. If I may, All the Queen's Horses, I think you can still get it on Netflix, is a fantastic documentary about a large fraud that happened in a municipality. So this is exactly how that could have gotten caught if people like you were paying attention. So that's why we do this. You will see that all checks in kind of 2 batches, the 1st through the 15th at one meeting, and then the 16th to the end of the month at another meeting. You'll also see ACH payments as a separate thing, but we do those as a month because there's so few of them. So you'll see that at the first meeting of the month following. And then we also have P-Card, which is a credit card that the city uses to make payments. The cycle ends about the 8th every month, but we don't bring it to you guys until after all of those transactions have been coded and approved. So while the cycle ends early, sometimes it takes a while before it comes to you, just because of those different processes that are there. So our goal is always to do it the first meeting after the month when the cycle ended, but we don't always hit that. So with that, sorry to derail it.
No, not at
Any
all.
questions?
No, thank you for that explanation. You're always very thorough. We appreciate it. On that note then, is there any discussion regarding the detailed review of checks for $10,000 and above? Gabriella?
Page 1 of this section, with the KL engineering charges right at the top of the page. I noticed under the second 2, they list the TIDs, TID number 14 or 13. Does that mean that those charges are being paid for through the TID?
Exactly, so
Okay.
it's all one project, a piece of it paid for by general city, and then the other 2 pieces by each one of the TIDs that are involved.
Got it.
I do have a question regarding the key code media. Based on the description, it doesn't ring any bells with me, so could you provide some further information?
Yeah, so this is a FACT TV item. I don't know if Scott, our fabulous guest speaker, wants to give some advice, but I know it's something to do with FACT TV and all of the work that they do to get these meetings broadcast and other things like that. He's giving me a unbiased thumbs up. That sounds about right. I can get more
If you could get some
specifics.
additional information,
Yep, absolutely.
put them on the spot. I have one other additional question, and that's OneNet IT Solutions for the Well, I think it just made the threshold of 10,000, but $10,149.39. This is an annual maintenance, can you further explanation?
Nope, you stumped me twice tonight. So I will
Okay.
find out from Matt Pro, our IT director, and I will get back to you on that
Okay,
one too.
very good, thank you. Let's see here. Any additional questions? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to item 5B. Detailed revenue of all checks issued, checks 122022-122060, April 1st through the 15th, 2021, totaling $402,253.90. Discussion? Nope. No discussion. I hear no discussion. So with that, moving on to item 6, action items. Motion to approve item 6A, resolution R-61-21.
Randy, I assume you're asking for a motion, not making the motion yourself?
That's correct, yes.
So moved.
So I believe we have actually, if I may first talk
If you-
about
if you
procedure
would,
stuff.
yes.
Yep, and so with action items, so we are a 3-member committee, so we don't need a second. There are a couple of options that the Finance Committee can take. So you can approve it, you can deny it. Those are pretty clear. You could also choose to refer it to council without a recommendation, because really, Finance Committee doesn't make many final decisions. You just provide recommendations onto the council. So you could say that you don't want to take that opportunity and just send it to council without a recommendation. And then if there's ever a tie, because we only need 2 people for quorum, and if one person says yes, one person says no, that means it goes to council without a recommendation, I believe. Now I'm questioning that, of course. It might fail it. I'll have to verify that. So then for this particular item, we do have one person that registered to speak. When that person comes up, I don't know if I'm stealing your thunder too much, but they have
No.
3 minutes to speak, similar to the council meeting, and then the discussion happens with the committee members. We allow the speaking at the beginning so that you can hear the input, but generally the public is not part of the conversation. That would be the Finance Committee members that would have that.
Okay, well, thank you again. And with that approval, and we do have a member of the Fitchburg citizen that would like to speak. That's Jay Hockmuth of 2858 Osmondson Road. Is that correct, Jay?
2888.
88.
Sorry for my handwriting.
I have a copy of the document I'd like to admit into the record for the purposes of
My remarks. Good evening. My name is Jay Hockmuth. I'm a Fitchburg resident for 35 years. I worked for DNR for 37
You
years.
need to turn your speaker on, or your mic, I should say.
Oh,
It is,
Scott did
okay.
it.
Leaning into.
Okay. My name is Jay Hockmuth. I'm a Fitchburg resident for 35 years. I worked for DNR for 37. First of all, as an environmental engineer, then in management positions. I've been following this project closely. I've appeared at the TTC meeting 2 weeks ago, the Board of Public Works meeting last week, and this meeting now, and then the council meeting tonight. I've been working with a group of Fitchburg residents to offer constructive suggestions for this project. And yesterday, we emailed another one of our suggestions to the council and the mayor, and you all received a copy of that. And tonight, I've got some remarks that I want to amplify and provide a little more detail in regard to what we hope you do tonight, which would be to recommend that the council table this matter until May 25th, and that you also recommend to the council that they direct staff to do certain things by certain dates in order to be in a position on May 25th to make an informed decision regarding this project. And I first of all like to emphasize that the people that I've been working with, and I haven't actually talked to more than 1 or 2 people out of quite a few who think this project should be stopped. We are that's something we don't want to see. We want to see this project move forward. We just want to see the cost reduced and the environmental footprint reduced. And in order to get to a point where everybody is comfortable and understands and can live with this project, we've offered in this remarks tonight some additional details on how to get from where we are right now to where we hope to be in a month. And this is consistent with some feedback I've received from several council members, including several seated here, that the concern is that this won't evolve into anything definitive or a compromise in the next 30 days. Well, I really strongly believe there can be a compromise. I really strongly believe that everybody that I've been working with is motivated to make some adjustments, make some compromises, and move forward with this project. And so that's why I'm here, and there's a lot of detail here, but suffice to say, I've tried to capture it in a way that could be read. I realize it got longer than I hoped, but every time you read something like this, you see something. So the intent here is to just offer this as a step-by-step cookbook on how to get from where we are to where we need to be. And a couple of key aspects.
3 minutes.
Oh, sorry, that's it. Unless you want to give me more time or have questions. Is it true that if a member of the committee does ask a question of somebody who appeared, they can answer that question?
So it's not generally something that we would do, but I
Okay.
believe the chair gets to make that decision.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
But Mr.,
I will give you another minute to finish.
Oh, thank you.
Your thought.
I really appreciate that. So essentially, the first step is to hold the fourth meeting of the advisory group this week, which I think is going to happen. Hold another meeting next week to go over some things, and then basically working backwards, the staff, and there's a provision in here, the staff can do what they want. We're just asking that this kind of process be followed. But if the staff decides after dialogue they want to move forward with whatever, that's fine. We understand that. The only thing is, we hope that everything will be posted on the web by May 21st, which is Friday before the May 25th council meeting.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I know you had a question, but I'm not sure if is that protocol?
So you're welcome to ask me questions because I'm the staff liaison.
Okay.
Yep.
No, I do not have a question. I thought, Jay,
no, I didn't ask
Oh,
have a
early.
question. I was going to ask if we could give Jay a little bit more time. That was-
sure. Okay, that was the question. Okay. Very good.
So I can give a little bit of background on this one if you'd like. So just a tiny bit. So from a finance committee's perspective, this project was included in the adopted budget as well as the CIP, so that's taken care of. And generally, this item would not be something that would go to finance committee, but there was a council member that specifically wanted it to. So it's somewhat unique that this is here. But we do have both Andrew McFadden, who's the senior project engineer that's the most involved with this project, as well as Bill Bulkey, who's the Director of Public Works and City Engineer. Both of them are here to answer questions if you have any. But this conversation very clearly will continue at council tonight and then as the project continues.
Okay, all right. Is there any discussion? Chair recognizes Gabriella Gerhardt, Alder Gerhardt. Go ahead.
Thank you. So Misty, I just want to double check with this. My understanding is that based on where we are in this project, what the staff has laid out here is going to be within the budget that's laid out in the CIP and that's been passed in the 2021 budget. Is that correct?
So I think Andrew can confirm that for sure. Who is on the line, he'd be the best person, but that's my understanding as well. There's a lot of moving parts.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So there are a lot of moving parts. We were awarded a T grant after the CIP process. So that's $1 million kind of with our matching funds that is not reflected in the CIP. But yeah, currently our project can be funded with the existing both between the developers agreement T grant and the CIP provided funding. So yeah.
Great.
Chair recognizes Alder Wheeler.
Since we have you, Andrew, could you describe what the process would be after an approval of a typical section?
Yeah. So I'm a little new to the city of Fitchburg and the processes, but from my understanding, we kind of typically come to council 3 times with these larger projects. The first being a typical section. Really, that's just trying to make sure we're including kind of the necessary elements in the project. the basics, and we say typical because we know things vary across the corridor, but we want to make sure, by and large, we're getting kind of what council wants. We take that with our design team, we move that forward to our 60% design, and that's really when we get into the kind of nitty gritty of how are we going to lay this out along the corridor. We have plan view, you can actually kind of see the 2D and what it looks like. At that point, we come back to the council for transportation project plat approval, and so that's with the 60% design plans and the transportation project plat. That's identifying the easements and the property acquisitions that we're looking to get. And then once you approve that, then we'll continue the design, get those property acquisitions going. That usually takes about 5 months, and then we'll come back to you once we have a final plan set to go out to bid for contractors. So those are kind of 3 checkpoints. Bill, feel free to correct me if I'm forgetting something.
So I guess my question would be, would the public still have those opportunities to work alongside with the advisory group as this moves along to provide input, even after the typical section is approved?
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as it's anything outside of kind of what's that in that resolution of what are kind of the main things. If we're talking about a hill, a potential retaining wall, or if we're talking about kind of spot level changes that we'd have to kind of shrink something in order to make something fit or potentially save trees. That's definitely doable and kind of is within that next step. We're just trying to make sure we're getting that typical section identified so we can start laying out a couple options for that, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions, discussion? Misty, can you explain our options again of what,
Yep. So as the Finance Committee, again, you are just a recommending body to the council, and also remind you that this isn't something that generally would go to Finance Committee.
Right.
So the Finance Committee could choose to approve this, which is the motion on the floor right now. You could choose to deny this as well. Your other option would be to postpone it to a different meeting, or we could send it to council without a recommendation from Finance. So those are kind of the 4 different options.
go ahead, Alder Gerhart.
I'd be interested in moving this forward to council without a recommendation, just because I'm not sure that there's anything, I think there's a lot to discuss in council in terms of policy decisions that we have to be making. But if we're talking about a thing that is going to look like it's going to be within budget, I'm not sure that we need to comment on it specifically as a finance committee.
I'm in agreement. I don't know about Jim, but,
I would agree with that also.
okay.
So then let's talk logistics. So right now, the motion that's on the floor is to approve by Mr. Wheeler. So you could choose to withdraw that motion, and then we could make it the separate motion to do the referral if you'd like to. Or would you like to take a motion, or take a vote on your motion?
I do choose to withdraw the motion at this point,
Excellent.
and I would move that we refer it to council
Without a recommendation, correct?
without a recommendation, yes. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a good discussion at council, so.
Very good.
So with that motion on the floor, is there further discussion? Hearing none, take it to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, as well. Any no votes? The ayes have it. Motion is approved. Okay. On to the next action item, item 6B, resolution R-62-21. Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve Resolution R-6221, approving Revision 1 to State Municipal Agreement for CTHMM and McCoy Road.
Discussion?
So we do have the engineers here again to give you a brief introduction, if that would be helpful to the committee.
That would be helpful, yes.
So Andrew or Bill?
Sure. Yeah, so I guess, let me just flip down to this. Yeah, so this is a intersection signalization project up on County MM and McCoy Road. Our, so I guess the resolution here tonight is revising a state municipal agreement with WISDOT. They are providing funding, basically $775-ish thousand dollars, as part of their HISIP grant, their Highway Safety Improvement Program grant. And so one of their requirements is by the time that they get final plans, they need kind of this agreement set up. We had previously approved it. We had added basically a bike lane outside of the scope of their project, and so they just want to clarify that what's eligible and what's not eligible. So this specific resolution is just trying to satisfy that request and getting the SMA revised. We anticipate having the final plans this Friday, so that was kind of the timeline of why to bring it here now. And then we'll be following back up with resolutions approving the Dane County and Fitchburg cost share as well. So, and that will be based on these kind of new cost estimates that we had from the 90 and 100% design plans.
Very good, thank you, Andrew. I have one question, and we can open this up for discussion, but one question, and it goes back to Andrew, because we did approve, maybe to Misty, we did approve this once before. It is the bike lane that's making the difference here? Yeah, okay, all right, that's the
Yeah,
reason
it's just
before.
those ineligible items that they want to have clarified in the scope.
Okay, all
And so,
right.
yep. And I think that was, that was before my time, but I think that was the intention early on. I don't know if that was just not included in the original SMA, and so now they're trying to clarify that.
Okay, all right, very good. Are there any other questions, discussion? Alder Gerhart.
This is a question that Andrew answered when I was at Transportation and Transit Committee, but basically, we're still under what is budgeted in the CIP for this project. I believe it's somewhere in the range of $250,000 in the CIP, and the current cost to the city, we're only paying a third of the cost, but it's $192,851, so we're still under what's budgeted in the CIP. And if anyone wants to comment on that, please jump in, but that was my understanding based on our conversation.
Yep, costs have gone up, but we're still under what was identified in the CIP.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? Okay. Hearing none, put it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Noes? Ayes have it. Motion passes. Item 6A, Resolution R-97-21. Do I hear a motion?
So move.
And this one, do we have somebody to speak for it as well, Misty?
We do not, that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
I can give some logistics background if you're interested.
I can also.
Yes, if you would, please.
So first, I guess some mechanics. So you'll see on our agenda, we do have a closed session available to us tonight. My hope, honestly, is that this agreement is all what we expected and that there wouldn't need to be a more detailed discussion on it. But I wanted to have that as available as a tool for you guys in case you did want to have more discussion. So it is on the agenda for that as an option, but we do not have to take that closed session if we don't want to. You can just skip that piece. And then on this particular thing, so as you know, Chad Brecklin was offered the position, came to terms with a contract that is included in the revised packet as well as emailed out to you guys. Very similar to what was approved by Personnel Committee a while back with some tweaks based on the negotiation and other things that happened, but overall a good contract.
And I would agree as well. I have no discussion, so I'm not in favor of going to closed session unless there's others that would like to have further discussion.
No, I
Go
agree.
ahead.
I just wanted to say that the Personnel Committee did go over this contract in a lot of detail.
Okay.
And obviously, it's made some updates with the actual offer, but it's very similar to that extensive conversation that we had.
Yes, and I saw that
Saw it as well.
conversation, so I'm satisfied.
Very good, very good. With that, we'll have further discussion in council. Is there, with this motion, Misty, we,
So if you're ready to vote, we can
Yes.
just go ahead and vote on it.
Similar
and
as any
then-
other, just the closed session is throwing me off a little bit, but okay.
Yep, so we'll just vote on this, and then as chair, you'll just note that we're skipping the closed session.
Okay, all right. We are skipping the closed session. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any noes? No. Motion passes. And on to the next item, item 6F. Discussion and possible action on Resolution R-97-21, approving agreement with the city administrator. So we've just done that.
Yep, so we
Correct.
skipped that as well.
Skip that as well. Appears to be the end of our action items this evening. Item 7, announcements. The next meeting is May 11th, 2021. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Very good. The Finance Committee of March 27th.
We need to vote on that.
Oh, we still need to vote on that as well. All right. All those in
first one
favor-
is always a little rough.
All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Those no. Meeting is adjourned.